There are many different superhero teams on Earth, but two stand apart from the rest in terms of raw ability and strength: the Avengers and the X-Men. Today at CBR, we're discussing which of these two titanic teams would come out on top should they ever come to blows.
Avengers! Assemble.
The Avengers bear the title as Earth's mightiest heroes for good reason. Some of the most powerful heroes in existence populate its expansive roster: Thor, Hulk, Iron Man, Captain America, Ant-Man, Vision. The list goes on and on. One of the more interesting things about the Avengers is how expansive its roster has become over the years. More than just the heavy hitters that helped define the team in its early years, the Avengers have enjoyed having members such as Hawkeye, Black Widow, Tigra, Dr. Druid, Black Knight, and even Spider-Man as it has progressed as a team. While some members were around for only a brief time, acting more as reservists than field members. This is partly why the Avengers has lasted as long as it has and become such a powerhouse of a team. There is always a viable and experienced team ready to deploy at a moment's notice to contest with the worst threats the world can have.
Fight with you, or join the team, be an X-Man? Who the hell do you think you are? You're a mutant.
Professor Charles Xavier's team of superpowered mutants was formed by his desire to have a team of individuals that could defend the mutant population from those that wished to harm it. This team would also act as the vanguard against the evil mutants in the world. By balancing both of these goals, the X-Men have become one of the most experienced and battle-hardened teams on the planet. The original team of Cyclops, Jean Grey, Beast, Iceman, and Angel paved the way for all future generations to come. Members such as Wolverine, Storm, Nightcrawler, and Colossus have come to represent the team just as much as the original members, if not more so in certain regards. What makes the X-Men such an enduring team is how every generation introduces a new team of mutants who are willing and ready to join the ranks of their fellow mutants. The New Mutants, Generation X, X-Force, and X-Factor are all examples of how New Mutants can work in their own ways to uphold the ideals of the X-Men even if they're not members of the core team. In a perfect world, superheroes wouldn't be needed. There would be no supervillains, no supercrime, and no horrific beings from beyond time and space threatening to put an end to all existence. Unfortunately, that is the world that the Avengers and X-Men live in. Worse still, despite them all being fellow superheroes, both the Avengers and the X-Men have found themselves at odds over the years. It would seem easy for one superhero to get along with another superhero simply on the merits of everyone batting for the same team. However, the sad truth is that even superheroes can have major disagreements. And sometimes these disagreements can rise to a point when the only way to reach a solution is by taking the gloves off and figuring things out, the hard way. The Avengers and the X-Men have come to blows quite a few times over the years, often over circumstances that are larger than either team. 1987's Avengers vs. X-Men is a prime example of why the two teams would come to violent disagreement. When Magneto was wanted by the United Nations for crimes against humanity, the Avengers scoured the Earth for him. When they found him in the presence of the X-Men, they demanded he be turned over to the authorities. But as the X-Men believed that as Magneto was a mutant, he deserved to be held accountable and in the custody of fellow mutants. The ensuing battle was not a fun one, with both sides giving their all to try and lay claim to the master of magnetism. A particularly scary moment for the X-Men came when Rogue saw firsthand the sheer amount of power Monica Rambeau contained as Captain Marvel. Rogue knew in that moment that if the Avengers truly wanted to unleash their full power, there would be nothing the X-Men could do to stop them. Another famous moment that brought the two teams of superheroes against each other was 2012's Avengers vs. X-Men. In this event, the return of the Phoenix prompts the Avengers and the X-Men to race to contain the cosmic force. Both sides believing that they should be the ones to contend with the Phoenix, the disagreement becomes violent and battles are waged around the world. The event ends with Cyclops gaining the power of the Phoenix, becoming the Dark Phoenix, and killing Professor X. As Scarlet Witch and Hope Summers combine their powers to put an end to the conflict, the ranks of the X-Men are changed dramatically as Cyclops is put under arrest and taken away.
What do we do, Cap? We fight.
Another major battle between the Avengers and the X-Men would surely be over the treatment and status of the world's mutant population. As the recent Krakoa event proved, mutants are a major part of the world, whether or not Homo sapiens want to accept it or not. When all their differences are put aside, the X-Men can be one of the most devastatingly powerful groups on the planet, and even the universe. The Avengers would never strike first without provocation, so it would take the actions of a rogue entity such as Scarlet Witch, Proteus, or Legion to bring them into action. As both teams have had such massive rosters over the years, for simplicity's sake, the core members of each team are to be used in this encounter. For the Avengers, the heavy hitters would be Thor, Hulk, and Iron Man. Captain America, Hawkeye, Ant-Man, and any other member such as Tigra or Wasp would be support. For the X-Men, the heavy hitters would be Jean Grey, Storm, and Rogue. Cyclops, Wolverine, Gambit, and Jubilee would be support. Like any fight with such a large roster of characters, success hinges entirely on how quickly and efficiently the strongest characters can be defeated. Putting both Thor and Hulk down in the same fight is a feat of and for the ages. For the X-Men, Storm's Omega-level mutant powers over the elements would be the best counter to Thor. That leaves Hulk, who is left unchecked, could demolish the entire X-Men on his own. Jean and Colossus would have to pool their powers together in order to subdue Hulk the best they could. The rest is an absolute free-for-all. Repulsor blasts and trick arrows are flying through the air, I-beams and kinetic cards are flying right back, and Cap is locked in heated combat with Wolverine. If Rogue is present, her strength, flight, and ability to sap powers would allow her to make quick work of lesser Avengers like Hawkeye. But if Scarlet Witch is present, there would be, very fittingly, sheer chaos amongst the ranks of the X-Men. The X-Men possess an astoundingly versatile roster of powers: flight, super strength, energy projection, telepathy, and elemental control. The Avengers also have an exceedingly varied amount of powers to their name too: flight, super strength, energy projection, and reality manipulation. It's hard to say this 100% of the time, but if each team brought its A game to the match, the Avengers will win more times than not. Hulk, Thor, and Scarlet Witch simply bring too much, too fast for the X-Men to contend with. Sure, they have Storm and Rogue, and sometimes Emma Frost, but in normal parameters without the Phoenix Force or extreme reality benders like Proteus or Legion, the X-Men are just outgunned in every way. Of course, this isn't a battle that's always set in stone, as Marvel's mutants have proven to be extremely versatile combatants.
Are you okay with this?
I forget sometimes you can read minds.
Darkseid is one of DC's most powerful supervillains. Conversely, Galactus has a similarly world-ending presence within Marvel. Rarely do the two characters meet, but when they do, it's a dangerous matchup with cataclysmic repercussions.
I shall devour this planet.
John Byrne's Galactus the Hunger. Writer-artist John Byrne's Galactus the Hunger provided the, as of now, definitive answer to which supervillain would take the victory. The story begins when Silver Surfer, Galactus's acolyte, travels to Apocalypse in search of a new world for Galactus to devour. Undeterred by legions of parademons, the Silver Surfer beckons his master to join him in Darkseid's domain. It's here that the two iconic villains square off for the fate of Apocalypse.
His adopted world will die screaming.
The battle. Even with the ability to launch catastrophic Omega beams at Galactus, the World Devourer is far too powerful for Darkseid's energy blasts. Needless to say, the parademons weren't even a nuisance in the face of Galactus's presence. So, Darkseid sought a different method of approach, to sway the Silver Surfer from his master through unlocking hidden memories, which would presumably sway Galactus's loyal servant to the dark side. But even this crafty attempt on Darkseid's behalf has little effect. Galactus stomps the Surfer and reawakens the latter without memories.
The time to feed grows near.
The outcome. However, despite Darkseid being utterly unable to hold his own against Galactus, the only reason Darkseid survives, along with the rest of Apocalypse, is because the planet is essentially unable to provide Galactus with the nutrition he so desires. After years of being subjected to Darkseid's reign, Apocalypse has become a shell of itself, and not even worth consumption by the mighty Galactus. Had there been something worth eating, then nothing short of a Deus Ex Machina could save Darkseid and Apocalypse. Thus, John Byrne's Galactus the Hunger proves that Galactus truly is the more powerful of the two, at least in this first battle. However, Darkseid now has knowledge of Galactus that he can use to his advantage in the future.
I am death. I am Darkseid.
If Darkseid and Galactus were to face each other again, under different circumstances, do you think Darkseid would be able to stand a chance? Lady Deadpool finally hits the big screen in Deadpool and Wolverine, rocking her red suit and signature blonde ponytail. Played by Blake Lively, she jumps into a wild, bloody battle against Deadpool and Wolverine. She never takes off her mask, but her fight definitely stands out.
Can we just be done?
Ooh, we're just getting started.
No.
In Deadpool and Wolverine, Lady Deadpool takes charge of an army of Deadpool variants, leading them into a chaotic confrontation with Deadpool and Wolverine. This battle plays a crucial role in the film's climax, where some alternate versions of Deadpool are summoned from across the multiverse. Lady Deadpool's leadership of the Deadpool Corps positions her as a powerful figure, making the battle more intense as she brings her own unique version of chaos to the fight. The storyline explores the complexities of the multiverse and the impact of these alternate realities on the characters, especially as they grapple with the different versions of themselves.
What are you talking about? The multiverse is over!
Lady Deadpool, aka Wanda Wilson, is a female Deadpool variant from Earth 3010, a dystopian world where the US is divided, fighting alongside different factions to stop a rebellion and defeat the cosmic entity Awareness. Like Deadpool, she has a powerful healing factor, making her nearly immortal and immune to poisons, drugs, and diseases. She's highly skilled in combat, wielding bladed weapons with expert precision. Eventually, she's recruited into the multiversal Deadpool Corps, battling cosmic threats and evil Deadpool variants while staying true to her chaotic, unpredictable nature.
I did no such thing!
Deadpool and Lady Deadpool would probably end up fighting again for a few reasons, all tied to their chaotic personalities. Since they come from different universes, their goals might clash. Deadpool could be messing with Lady Deadpool's world or the other way around. Plus, Lady Deadpool might want to prove she's the better Deadpool, leading to a power struggle, especially if they're both gunning for leadership of the Deadpool Corps. Then, there's their flirty rivalry, which could definitely turn into a full-on fight given their impulsive natures. Maybe a villain or some cosmic entity also forces them into battle for their own twisted fun. As for who would win, it'd probably end in a draw since they both have nearly identical abilities, rapid healing, superhuman strength, and expert combat skills. But Deadpool's experience and unpredictability might give him an edge, though Lady Deadpool's resourcefulness could easily level the playing field.
Mission over. Cause of death, 100 kill-thirsty Deadpools.
Ultimately, it'd probably just be a hilarious, chaotic draw. Both would heal up, cracking jokes at each other and realizing how ridiculous it is to fight a version of themselves.
How was I supposed to know he doesn't regenerate? I'm not a medicine woman.
Marvel Rivals has brought the heaviest hitters from across the Marvel Universe into heated battle against one another. Today at CBR, we're wondering what would happen if the Fantastic Four were brought in not as heroes, but as villains.
My empire of eternal night!
The Fantastic Four is a team of superheroes composed of Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic, Sue Storm, aka the Invisible Woman, Johnny Storm, aka the Human Torch, and Ben Grimm, aka The Thing. When a trip into outer space doused each of these individuals with cosmic rays, they returned to Earth with fantastic powers. The Fantastic Four were not Marvel's first superheroes, but they are still considered to be Marvel's first family, as their debut helped usher in the Marvel Age of Comics. With their powers combined, they stand as one of the most formidable, experienced, and toughest superhero teams on Earth.
Defeating two dudes and saving the multiverse won't be an easy job.
The premise of Marvel Rivals involves Doctor Doom meeting his 2099 counterpart. The meeting was not a friendly one, and the aftermath resulted in a time stream entanglement that opened up the multiverse. As all the heroes and villains converge in battle, their ultimate goal is to defeat the Doctor Dooms before they lay claim to the multiverse. With the new Eternal Nightfalls event taking place, the Fantastic Four are brought into the fray to help combat Dracula. What if it wasn't Dracula that became the latest antagonist for the Marvel Rivals to contend with? What if an alternate, evil version of the Fantastic Four emerged? As the Invisible Woman has her infamous Malice outfit in the game, players have already been given a taste of what the Fantastic Four would be like as villains. Whether battled singularly or as a team, they would be absolute monsters to deal with. Mr. Fantastic's absurd reach, the Thing's immense strength, the Human Torch's explosive fire powers, and the Invisible Woman's psionics and invisibility fields would all be extremely difficult to navigate around.
Who wants to see something fantastic?
Would you want to see the Fantastic Four as villains in Marvel Rivals? In an epic showdown between two cosmic titans, Darkseid, the ruler of Apocalypse, faces off against Knull, the primordial god of darkness. With unmatched power and unique abilities, who will win this epic battle? Darkseid and Knull would probably end up fighting over their shared desire for power. Darkseid wants to rule the multiverse, while Knull wants to spread darkness and chaos everywhere. The battle would be an all-out fight, with Darkseid using his Omega Beams and insane strength, while Knull fights back with his symbiotes, darkness powers, and ability to regenerate. It'd be one wild fight for sure. Darkseid has many advantages over Knull in a fight. For starters, his Omega Beams are insanely powerful. They can erase anything from existence and are nearly impossible to dodge. They're a huge threat to anyone, including Knull. Another big thing is Darkseid's intelligence and battle experience. He's been around for eons and is a master tactician. He knows how to outsmart even the toughest foes, which gives him an edge when it comes to planning his attacks. All in all, Darkseid's crazy power, durability, and tactical mind make him a tough opponent for Knull. He's got a lot going for him in this battle. Knull could definitely have a shot against Darkseid because of his crazy powers over darkness and the symbiotes. Being the god of the void, Knull can control darkness on a massive scale, which could mess with Darkseid's usual tactics. The symbiotes are also super adaptable and tough. They can overwhelm enemies and regenerate, making it hard for Darkseid to just knock them out. On top of that, Knull's got immortality and can heal from near-death injuries, so even if Darkseid lands a big hit, Knull isn't going down that easily. The symbiote's connection to the void might even help Knull find ways around Darkseid's Omega Beams, either by hiding in darkness or outsmarting him. If Knull can control the flow of the fight and keep Darkseid on the defensive, he could definitely make things interesting and maybe even take the win. In a direct fight, Darkseid would probably have the advantage thanks to his immense range of powers. If Knull can find a way to exploit a weakness or outsmart Darkseid, he could have a shot.
I have turned 100,000 worlds to dust, looking for anti-life, looking for those who robbed me of my glory.
Superman is the Man of Steel, the strongest superhero in existence. Lobo, the last Zarnian, is the rudest and deadliest mercenary in the universe. Today at CBR, we're breaking down who would win in such a fight, Superman or Lobo.
I'll take you in without breaking you, which is more than you deserve.
As a Kryptonian, Superman is energized by Earth's yellow sunlight to godlike levels. His strength is great enough to rip moons in half. His speed is great enough that he can beat the Flash in a race. His durability is so immense that he can survive blows from Doomsday and Mongol. And with his ice breath, heat vision, and X-ray vision, there's little Superman can't do when the chips are on the table.
Guess we're doing this the fun way.
Lobo is a walking engine of destruction, plain and simple. Lobo possesses strength so great that he can tangle with both Shazam and Superman and laugh off their blows. His absolute lack of empathy, remorse, and kindness makes him an extremely unpredictable and difficult being to engage in battle. Oh, and there's the little fact that Lobo is banned from the afterlife on account of having too much fun in hell and committing a whole-scale massacre in heaven. Not only can he instantly regenerate any and all damage he suffers, but even if he would technically die, no he didn't.
Finally, I've been trying to get in touch with you all day.
Existing on two polar opposite ends of the heroic spectrum, Superman and Lobo are always bound to fight when they meet. Lobo isn't a mindless rage monster, but his lifestyle of killing for money puts him on extremely shaky ground with the Man of Steel. Both heroes have thrown each other, punched each other, and slammed each other through countless feet of metal and concrete that it's almost become a dance for them at this point. The biggest issue with this fight is that Lobo regenerates so quickly and that Superman has such a high degree of invulnerability. Their fights just go on and on and on with very little ground being gained by either side. Should the two truly take the gloves off and go at each other with abandon, the result would be a bloody affair.
You sure you're from Krypton?
I'm from Kansas.
Well, something about Kansas made you strong.
In the end, simply through sheer superiority in skills and powers, Superman would win in a no-holds-barred fight with Lobo. Lobo would score some nasty hits on Superman with his hook and shotgun, but Superman's a far more experienced combatant who's fought worse than Lobo. It won't be an easy fight, but Superman will come out more times than not.
Stay down! If I wanted it, you'd be dead already.
Lobo, the last Zarnian, is one of the roughest, most dangerous, and most metal beings in the universe. While a native to the DC universe, it's been proven that DC and Marvel have crossed over to one another before. Today at CBR, we're exploring just how catastrophic it would be if Lobo ever fought the Avengers.
Who are you?
Oh, I'm sorry. My card.
Lobo's powers. Lobo is, without a shadow of a doubt, the universe's most relentless bounty hunter. Virtually indestructible and possessing of strength great enough to take on the likes of Superman and Shazam, Lobo ranks as a supremely heavy hitter. Not only does he have immense physical strength and durability, but he's also equipped with his trusty shotgun, hook, and chain, and his intergalactic motorcycle called the Hog. Once Lobo's got your scent, there's nowhere in the universe you can run to escape him. With all this in mind, a battle between Lobo and the Avengers would be an absolute bloodbath.
Guess who's got auto-targeting twerps? Nothing can escape my blasters!
Lobo versus the Avengers. Lobo's appearance on Earth 616 could be explained by saying some interdimensional being turned off the 24/7 metal that plays in Lobo's head, which is true, and that he set off in heated pursuit of them to turn it back on. Arriving in the Marvel Universe, Lobo would be attacked by someone like the Rhino or Shocker. Lobo would promptly tear their limbs off, which would get the attention of the Avengers. Someone cocky like Hawkeye or Kate Bishop would fire a trick arrow at Lobo thinking they could incapacitate him. Lobo would catch the arrow and throw it right through their head. Ant-Man would shrink down and clock Lobo a few times before Lobo caught him and shoved him into the barrel of his gun before shooting him directly into Black Widow's face. By now, Cap and Iron Man would tag team Lobo, hoping to put him down quickly, but the main man wouldn't go down just over a metal shield and some lasers. Cap's shield would be reappropriated and sent into Iron Man's arc reactor. Kaboom! Thor and/or Hulk would be the only real threats to Lobo, and the battle wouldn't end. Ever. See, Lobo can regenerate instantly and literally cannot die. Earth's mightiest heroes would become Earth's lamest pastiches within a matter of minutes.
All right, Big Bird's got some game.
The verdict. Lobo would literally mop the streets of New York City with the bodies of 75% of the Avengers. Thor, Hulk, and Vision would give him trouble, but a quick visit to a liquor store and Lobo would be more than capable of putting them down. It's not fair. It's horrible. But Lobo wins this every time.
I love you too.
Can you imagine a fight between Red Hulk and Gray Hulk? Today on CBR, we will explore who would win in a fight between these two characters. Let's break down their strengths, abilities, and the final outcome of this epic clash.
What? You've never seen a Red Hulk before?
The Red Hulk first appeared in Marvel Comics in 1962. He is a military officer named General Thaddeus E. Thunderbolt Ross. A war hawk obsessed with the Hulk's power, Ross is also Bruce Banner's ex-father-in-law. What makes Red Hulk so dangerous is his ability to retain his intellect while in Hulk form, allowing him to think critically and make strategic decisions while wielding tremendous strength. Red Hulk also possesses the ability to emit intense heat from his body and absorb various energies, including gamma radiation. This blend of intelligence, military training, and devastating power makes him a deadly adversary.
Who are you?
They call me Mr. Fix-It.
The Grey Hulk, also known as Joe Fixit, is a Las Vegas enforcer and represents a morally ambiguous version of the Hulk. Unlike the more straightforward Bruce Banner Hulk, Grey Hulk is clever, tricky, and unafraid to resort to underhanded tactics. His willingness to make morally questionable decisions makes him unpredictable and dangerous. One of his defining traits is maintaining a level of reasoning and intelligence in his Hulk form, allowing him to strategize during battle. However, despite his street smarts and ruthlessness, Grey Hulk is considered the weakest of the Hulk incarnations in the Marvel canon.
I'll crush you! No, this is about you and me.
In a fight between Red Hulk and Grey Hulk, the winner is clear, Red Hulk. While Grey Hulk's cunning and street smarts might help him hold his own for a while, he doesn't have the raw strength or power to overcome Red Hulk. The Red Hulk's incredible strength, military expertise, and ability to emit intense gamma heat give him a major advantage. Also, his energy absorption powers and ability to transform will make him one of the most dangerous Hulk versions ever created. With superior strength, tactical experience, and overwhelming power, Red Hulk would dominate the battle, using both brute force and strategy to overpower Grey Hulk and claim victory.
Allow me to school you in the art of war. First lesson, there are always casualties.
While both versions of the Hulk have their own unique strengths, Red Hulk's raw power, tactical smarts, and energy-absorbing abilities give him a clear edge. Grey Hulk's street smarts might help him hold his own for a while, but in the end, Red Hulk's sheer strength and fighting skills would seal the win. Fans have often speculated about a showdown between Red Skull and Darkseid. A popular discussion on Comic Vine points out that, no matter the circumstances, Darkseid's overwhelming power would likely guarantee his victory. Today, we'll dive into the possibilities of what a fight between these two iconic villains might look like.
Computer, commence self-destruct sequence.
The reasons. A fight between Red Skull and Darkseid could happen for a bunch of reasons, mostly because of their huge egos and thirst for power. Marvel's Red Skull is always looking for ways to expand his influence, and if he found out about Darkseid's godlike abilities, like the anti-life equation or Omega beams, he'd definitely want to get his hands on that kind of power. Red Skull might think he could either trick DC's Darkseid into doing his bidding or steal the power for himself. This would lead him to challenge Darkseid head-on, convinced that he could outsmart or overpower the Tyrant. But Darkseid's strength and intelligence would make it pretty much impossible for Red Skull to win with just his usual tricks. Darkseid's powers are way beyond anything Red Skull can handle. Another reason these two could clash is Red Skull's manipulation skills. He's a master at getting people and organizations to do what he wants, but messing with Darkseid's followers, like Darkseid or Granny Goodness, could easily backfire. If Red Skull tried to turn Darkseid's subordinates against him, Darkseid wouldn't stand for it. He doesn't tolerate disloyalty and would strike hard if he felt anyone was challenging his authority. Then there's the fact that the two have very different ideas about how the world should be ruled. Darkseid wants to control the universe, using the anti-life equation to wipe out free will and crush everything in his path. Red Skull, on the other hand, has a vision of world domination that's rooted in Nazi ideals, using fear and manipulation to get what he wants. If their goals ever clashed, Red Skull might see Darkseid as a rival who needs to be stopped, especially if Darkseid's plans got in the way of his own. Finally, if some bigger cosmic threat came along that threatened both of their ambitions, it could push them into a fight. Maybe Red Skull would feel like Darkseid was standing in his way, or maybe Darkseid would view Red Skull as a nuisance. Either way, the two would end up battling it out, with Red Skull's cunning and Darkseid's raw power going head to head. It would be a crazy matchup, but in the end, it would likely be a clash of ideas and abilities, with Darkseid's overwhelming might being the deciding factor.
You don't give up, do you?
The fight. The fight between Red Skull and Darkseid would be a real battle of brains versus brawn, with Red Skull using his smarts and tactics to try and get the upper hand, while Darkseid would just be crushing everything in his path with raw power. At first, Red Skull would probably try to outthink Darkseid. He's a master strategist, so he'd likely start by using his intellect to set traps, hack into Apocalypse systems, or maybe even use the Cosmic Cube if he has access to it. Red Skull's goal would be to throw Darkseid off balance, trying to catch him off guard before things get too intense. He's not about direct confrontations. He'd try to get inside Darkseid's head, maybe even trying to mess with Darkseid's followers like Desaad or Granny Goodness to create some chaos among them. If Red Skull can make Darkseid's minions question their loyalty, it could cause a little confusion and buy him some time to land a surprise blow. Red Skull might use some energy weapons, traps, or even explosives to try to hit Darkseid where he's weakest. He is a guy who knows how to use his resources, so he'd try to exploit any potential weaknesses, maybe something magical or tech-based to mess with Darkseid's power. But Darkseid wouldn't be fooled for long. He's used to threats and he's always on high alert. As soon as he senses Red Skull's trying to manipulate things, he'd strike back hard. Darkseid would probably hit him with those Omega beams. Red Skull might dodge them at first, using his tech or thinking fast, but avoiding them for long would be a challenge. One wrong move and he could be done for. If Red Skull can't mess with Darkseid's minions or outsmart him with gadgets, he'll have to face Darkseid head on. In that case, Red Skull's going to have to use every bit of his intelligence just to stay alive. He'd probably try to use the environment to his advantage, ducking behind cover, using any terrain he can find to avoid Darkseid's attacks. It would be a game of survival, with Red Skull trying to stay a step ahead and outwit the overwhelming power Darkseid is throwing at him. Throughout the battle, Red Skull would definitely try to play mind games, trying to get Darkseid to make a mistake or slip up. But Darkseid's not an easy one to fool. He's got a godlike ability to predict things and see through deception, so Red Skull's tricks wouldn't last long.
3/4 of the Earth is now the Cabal's to control.
The outcome. As the fight would go on, it would quickly become clear that no matter how clever Red Skull is, he'd be outmatched by Darkseid's sheer power. Red Skull would try his best to use his intellect and gadgets to gain the upper hand. He would likely manage to keep his distance at first, using energy weapons and traps to take a few shots at Darkseid. But every time Red Skull would gain a moment of advantage, Darkseid would retaliate hard. The Omega beams would come close more than once, and Red Skull would have to keep dodging them, knowing that if they hit him, it's game over. Red Skull, being the master manipulator, would try to get under Darkseid's skin by turning his followers against him. He'd hope to cause some infighting or confusion, thinking that if he could mess with Darkseid's control over them, he might get a chance to land a real blow. But Darkseid's grip over his minions would be rock solid. He wouldn't tolerate insubordination, and Red Skull's mind games would likely have no effect. This would only make Darkseid more focused, and Red Skull would start realizing that the more he tried to outsmart Darkseid, the harder it would get. When Red Skull's psychological tactics would fail, he would likely decide to go all in with a more direct approach, launching more aggressive attacks. He might try to get in close or hit Darkseid from behind, using his tech to target weak spots or break through Darkseid's defenses. But no matter what Red Skull would try, it wouldn't work. Darkseid would barely react to his attacks. Red Skull might land a few hits, but Darkseid would just take it and keep coming. Red Skull would begin to understand that his physical attacks wouldn't cut it. In a last-ditch effort, Red Skull might try to use the Cosmic Cube, hoping to twist reality itself to his advantage. He could try to freeze time, create illusions, or alter the battlefield entirely, figuring that if he could change reality, he might gain the upper hand. But even with the cosmic cube in his hands, he wouldn't be able to control that kind of power for long. Darkseid, being the cosmic powerhouse he is, would quickly shut down Red Skull's reality warping attempts, rendering the cosmic cube useless. Darkseid would unleash the full power of the Omega Beams, and in a flash, they would rip through the battlefield, zeroing in on Red Skull. Red Skull would try to dodge, but he'd be too slow, too injured. And before he could react, the Omega Beams would hit him. There'd be no escaping it, and Red Skull would be disintegrated in an instant. In the end, Darkseid would stand victorious. All of Red Skull's clever plans and manipulations would come to nothing, destroyed by the sheer might of Darkseid. The fight would conclude with Darkseid standing tall, unscathed, while Red Skull's ambitions would fade away into nothingness.
I could destroy you with a single blast of my Omega Beam.
Red Skull might put up a fight with his brains and tactics, but when it comes down to raw power, Darkseid would totally crush him. Darkseid's on a whole different level. In a straight-up fight, Red Skull wouldn't stand a chance. Welcome to CBR. We have seen Spider-Man and Ant-Man fight before in the MCU, but if the two Avengers were to face each other one-on-one, who do you think would win?
Who's Scott?
Ant-Man.
There's an Ant-Man and a Spider-Man?
Spider-Man is one of the strongest and most agile Marvel superheroes. Although the MCU version of Peter Parker is still in his late teens, he has already proven himself as strong as his adult peers. With much more agility than Scott, he can use his web shooters for mobility and also for immobilizing opponents of any size.
Please don't put your eggs in me!
Ant-Man has the unique ability to alter his size while maintaining his strength, which keeps whoever fights him on their toes. However, unlike Peter Parker's stabilized spider powers from the bite, Scott Lang relies on the Ant-Man suit to handle the Pym particles created by Hank Pym, which gives him his superpower. Nailed it! In Captain America Civil War, we have seen Peter take down a giant-sized Scott with the help of Iron Man and War Machine during the airport battle scene. But in a fight between only the two of them, Spider-Man would probably not have defeated Ant-Man so quickly. Imagine, Ant-Man initially sizes up and tries to catch Spider-Man, while Spider-Man swings around on his webs faster than Ant-Man can reach. When Spider-Man can finally throw some punches and shoot webs at Ant-Man, the giant-sized hero stumbles, cleans off the tiny web from his arm, and suddenly sizes down. Spider-Man is confused for a few seconds, but senses Ant-Man coming towards him from behind. When he turns around, he hesitates because he can't see where to attack. Ant-Man kicks him in the legs and causes Spider-Man to fall. He gets up while Ant-Man sizes up, making Spider-Man fall on his back again. Finally pulling himself up to higher ground, Spider-Man jumps over Ant-Man's head and lands on his hand. He presses Ant-Man's shrink button and falls on top on him once they're both the same size. Peter quickly shoots webs over both of Scott's hands, sticking his arms to the ground and making it impossible for him to reach his suit's buttons. And that's how Spider-Man would defeat Ant-Man one-on-one.
You know that part? Where they're on the snow planet? With the walking thingy?
Do you agree that Spider-Man would be the winner?
Previously on Peter Screws the Pooch, I tell you to stay away from this.
Welcome to CBR. Today, let's debate who would win in a fight between Spider-Man and his mentor, Iron Man. Spider-Man can lift dozens of tons, so he can go up against anyone in iron armor. His enhanced speed and reflexes combined with his powerful spider sense make it extremely difficult for enemies to attack him. He also produces and manipulates webs to swing from one place to the next, immobilize and attack his opponents. The MCU Peter Parker also has genius-level intelligence, being theoretically capable of hacking into Stark technology.
You hacked a multi-million-dollar suit so you could sneak around behind my back.
Spider-Man is not resistant to attacks and may be injured or killed if a powerful blow hits him directly. He is also younger and less experienced in battle. If an enemy manages to separate him from this technology, his webs are virtually useless.
No thanks to you.
No thanks to me?
Tony Stark is an even bigger genius than Peter Parker. He developed the most advanced technology in the country. His Iron Man armor gives him protection from attacks, the power to fly, and weapons. The armor is equipped with missiles, repulsors, and highly trained artificial intelligence to assist him during battles. However, without the suit, Tony is only human. If he wears the armor for too long or uses up all its energy reserves in battle, it will stop working. And his tech, although advanced, is not invulnerable to hacking.
Mr. Stark.
Iron Man.
Let's imagine a battle between the MCU heroes, as if Tony had been mind-controlled and became evil before his final appearance in Avengers Endgame. Iron Man dominates the battlefield initially, with his AI assistant running accurate analysis of Spider-Man's movements to keep Iron Man moving as fast. When Spider-Man finally manages to get closer, Iron Man holds him by the web shooters and tries crushing them unsuccessfully.
What the hell?
Hi, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man frees himself and jumps over Iron Man's head, shooting webs on his helmet visor. Suddenly unable to see, Iron Man gets nervous and starts shooting lasers in all directions. Spider-Man swigs on his webs around the area, trying to avoid getting fried by a laser. When he has the brief opportunity, Spider-Man shoots webs towards Iron Man's arms and legs, immobilizing him onto a wall. This gives Peter enough time to hack into the armor's system and shut it down. Peter apologizes to Mr. Stark for defeating him and calls Doctor Strange to fix his mentor's mind.
Listen, none of this would have happened if you had just listened to me.
Do you agree that Spider-Man could defeat Iron Man in this scenario? Let's discuss in the comments. Cosmic threats on the grandest of scales, Thanos and Darkseid are arguably the biggest and most powerful villains in the Marvel and DC universes. Today at CBR, we're figuring out which of these heavy hitters would win in a fight. Thanos. Thanos is an Eternal with the Deviant Syndrome, or in simpler terms, a member of superpowered beings who happens to be cursed with a hideous visage and a thirst for violence. Thanos' base stats have been augmented and enhanced substantially by Death herself, to the point where the Titan is virtually indestructible and infinitely powerful. Darkseid. The god of evil itself, Darkseid is a multiversal threat that has put down the strongest heroes in existence. Not only is Darkseid strong enough to take on entire Lantern Corps and Kryptonians, but his Omega beams alone make him a living nightmare to face in battle. The battle. Both villains would begin by looking down on the other. Darkseid would begin the battle with an Omega beam, as he wouldn't deign Thanos worth his time to battle physically. As Thanos has withstood a point-blank scream from Black Bolt, blows from a power gem-enhanced Thor and Champion, as well as a Phoenix Force-imbued Thane, the Omega beams would hurt him, but not harm him. In retaliation, Thanos would unleash his own energy blasts at Darkseid to similar results. Realizing that they actually posed a real threat to one another, Darkseid and Thanos would rush one another and begin to throw every ounce of strength into their strikes. The impacts alone would shatter planets and detonate stars. A Titan that has survived assaults from Galactus and Odin versus a new god who has survived an entire attack from the full Justice League. The battle would be the stuff of legends. Realizing that neither was truly gaining ground in a physical fight, Darkseid would pull back and unleash the full force of the Omega effect on Thanos. Thanos, being bombarded with energy powerful enough to detomize gods themselves, would push through the onslaught one tortured step at a time. Thanos, his clothes in tatters and his skin torn, would grab Darkseid by the throat and left him into the air. Pure energy would pour out of Thanos' eyes and combat Darkseid's Omega beams.
And all of existence shall be mine.
The verdict. In a blinding flash of crimson light, only one being would be left standing. Grinning at the glory of it all and the supreme power of his mistress Death, Thanos would eventually claim victory over Darkseid. As decreed by Death herself, Thanos cannot die. No matter how hard Darkseid fights, Death will never claim Thanos.
I am inevitable.
The Hulk, the gamma-fueled Avenger, is arguably the single strongest being in the entire Marvel Universe. Thanos, the Mad Titan, is a being of absolute and undeniable power. Today at CBR, we're diving into which of these two titanic beings would win in a no-holds-barred battle. Over the years, it's become increasingly more nuanced as to what happened exactly to Bruce Banner when he was exposed to the experimental gamma bomb that fateful day. Regardless of what his exact power origins may be, the Hulk's powers can be summed up very easily. The madder he gets, the stronger he gets. And by stronger, we mean able to trade blows with Thor, Sentry, and Juggernaut with ease. At his absolute peak power, he, Hulk, is less of a being and more of a force of nature, something mere mortals have to contend with and hope they survive. Thanos, an eternal born with the deviant gene, is a being of virtually limitless power. But sheer physical strength, invulnerability, and energy manipulation is only a fraction of what defines Thanos' power. His relationship with death over the years has granted him an existence removed from that of the natural cycle of life and death. Killing Thanos is not an option. He can be defeated, yes, but putting Thanos down for the count is another matter entirely. If there's one thing that's wonderful about the Hulk, is that, most of the time, he doesn't mince words. If the Jade Giant has a problem with something, he comes out fist first, and staring directly at Thanos will most certainly bring out the very best emotions Hulk has to offer. This battle begins with a cataclysmic series of punches directly into the Mad Titan's face. Each shockwave would be powerful enough to level entire city blocks. But, impossibly, Thanos would take these blows in stride and laugh. His own punches would put Hulk on the back foot, which leads to two simultaneous things happening instantly. The Hulk would become astounded that he's getting hit so hard, and he would also become enraged that he's getting hit so hard. And then the gloves come off. It might seem ridiculous to consider this, but the Hulk's greatest power is also his greatest weakness. All he has is his strength. It might be colossal in scope, but when compared to the range of abilities that Thanos has, they'll only go so far. The Hulk's anger alone can't help him beat Thanos in a one-on-one fight, which leaves the Mad Titan standing victorious. Welcome to CBR. Wonder Woman is the greatest Amazonian warrior on Earth and a crucial member of the Justice League. She-Hulk is the gamma-fueled lawyer who can throw down in and out of the courtroom. Today at CBR, we're breaking down which of these fearsome fighters would win in the Battle of Battles. As a demigod, Wonder Woman possesses powers far above that of any living human. She also ranks far above many other superheroes as well, making her one of the most powerful beings on the planet. With super speed, super durability, super strength, and an arsenal of extremely potent weapons, Wonder Woman is 110% a force to be reckoned with.
I'm allowed to be angry! This asshole and his friends attacked me behind my apartment.
After receiving a blood transfusion from her cousin Bruce Banner, Jennifer Walters became the gamma-irradiated She-Hulk. As a gamma being, She-Hulk possesses nearly incalculable physical strength and durability, and just like her cousin, the madder she gets, the stronger she gets.
Like the most over it. You're crushing your stapler.
An immediate boost in Wonder Woman's favor should she ever face She-Hulk in battle is the fact that she has such varied equipment with her. Her sword and shield can draw blood and protect her from head-on blows, while her bracelets and lasso can stymie She-Hulk and incapacitate her in a pinch. The problem with all that, though, is that She-Hulk's suppressed inner rage will eventually be stoked enough to where it completely boils over. Very quickly, faster than Wonder Woman could imagine, the fight would take a very different turn. She-Hulk may not have the awesome training and experience as an Amazonian fighter that Wonder Woman has, but she has a limitless pool of raw power to draw from. The fight would start conservatively at first, with She-Hulk throwing easy blows at Wonder Woman which could be blocked or evaded easily enough. But once Wonder Woman started to land real hits on She-Hulk or bound her with the lasso, She-Hulk's rage would start to grow. The linchpin in this fight is if Wonder Woman is able to put She-Hulk down fast enough before she gains enough strength to hurt Wonder Woman.
Well, I have to run. Always a pleasure.
Wonder Woman versus regular She-Hulk is a win for Wonder Woman, but Wonder Woman versus the Savage She-Hulk is a loss for the Amazonian, no matter how strong her sword arm is.
Whoa. Bruce, kind of feels like if I don't transform, I'm gonna die.
Who do you think would win in this fight? Welcome to CBR. With the MCU teasing the Young Avengers for years now, fans wonder if this new generation of heroes will clash with the older Avengers at some point. Today, let's explore how this major crossover event could happen. To start this analysis, let's establish who exactly are the heroes that make up both teams. The original Avengers no longer exist. With the death of characters like Tony Stark and Natasha Romanoff, topped with Steve Rogers and Clint Barton retiring, only a few of the original members of the team are still around to be a part of this event. Thor, Bruce Banner, Carol Danvers, and Doctor Strange could all be official members of the Avengers moving forward, along with other heroes. Sam Wilson as Captain America, Spider-Man, Shang-Chi, and Black Panther are great candidates to complete the roster. Now, let's focus on the Young Avengers lineup. You may not have noticed, but they are all already part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We have Kamala Khan, also known as Ms. Marvel. She not only got her own TV show, but joined the Marvels in their team-up movie. There is America Chavez, who made her MCU debut in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and assumes the mantle of Miss America. Then, Cassie Lang, Scott Lang's daughter, who we've seen grow up in Ant-Man and the Wasp movies and become Stature. Another Young Avengers member MCU fans have known for years now is Kate Bishop, who took on the mantle of Hawkeye in the self-titled series. Wiccan was introduced as a young Billy Maximoff back in WandaVision and became a main character in Agatha all along. Now older and in search of his long-lost brother, Tommy, Wiccan is understanding what his magical powers entail. Always striving to do the right thing, he may join the Young Avengers team before he finds Tommy. Billy's brother Tommy is the speedster known as Speed. While his exact whereabouts in the MCU are still a mystery, the Agatha All Along finale suggests that he's reincarnated on Earth and will be found by Billy soon, then be recruited.
I'm gonna find your brother. Do you think I can bring Tommy back? Am I killing this boy so my brother can live?
Comics fans might say that a Young Avengers team is not complete without Iron Lad. A variant of Kang the Conqueror, Nathaniel Daniels is the character who originally assembled the Young Avengers in Marvel Comics. In the MCU, it seems like Ms. Marvel is replacing Iron Lad in leadership. With the MCU drifting away from any connection to Kang more recently, it's possible that Ironheart, Riri Williams, will also replace Iron Lad in terms of being the iron-suited heroine. She debuted in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever and will be the protagonist of a miniseries coming in 2025. There's also Eli Bradley. He's the grandson of Isaiah Bradley, Captain America. His grandfather, Isaiah Bradley, was introduced in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier and will appear in Captain America: Brave New World. While Eli has only appeared briefly in the miniseries so far, his inclusion may signal that he'll turn into Patriot in the future. In the comics, Eli takes the illegal mutant growth hormone and gets superpowers before being recruited by Iron Lad to form an Avengers team. There are more members from the comics who can still be introduced into the MCU. A great example is the Hulkling.
You're not the Sorcerer Supreme?
No, I'm not the Sorcerer Supreme.
I thought you were Sorcerer Supreme, his universe.
Right.
Now, let's dive into a hypothetical battle between these two amazing teams, set during the rise of Doom in the build-up for Secret Wars. The story starts with both teams trying to contain several different civil wars that break out around the world. Among the chaos reigning wild, Latveria and its leader Dr. Doom are consistently conquering land from neighboring nations. The teams work together initially to investigate the Latverian army and find out how they became so strong so rapidly in recent months. In a disagreement between the old and the new Avengers teams about how to handle this reality-altering threat, the tension rises when Doctor Strange suggests locking Doom away in a prison realm through a powerful enchantment. This seems risky for some of the Young Avengers who doubt Doom can be contained. They argue they should join forces to kill Doom and end this forever and lock blocking him where they can't reach him is a bad idea. The conflict escalates to become the MCU's second Civil War event, now between the two generations of Earth's mightiest heroes. The Avengers choose to follow through with their plan regardless of the Young Avengers' support. In response, the latter plot to sabotage it. The disagreement culminates in a climatic battle. With 8 members on each side, the film ends with a major battle sequence of one-on-one fights.
The blood
Ironheart thanks Black Panther for all her guidance, but points out she's making a mistake by putting Wakanda at risk of being invaded by Latveria. If their plan goes wrong, that could easily happen. Patriot knocks down Captain America, making fun of the fact that he has no superpowers. Yet Eli's quickly humbled by Sam counterattacking in the same level. They argue on how the legacy of Captain America must be upheld, according to Isaiah's wishes. Thor underestimates America Chavez at first. Miss America, however, surprises him by punching a portal into existence and standing her ground against his attacks with Mjolnir, while they take their fight across different dimensions. Ms. Marvel has to go up against her idol, Captain Marvel. They bicker over the decision they need to make about Doom, but Kamala holds back when attacking and is defeated. Stature goes up against Spider-Man, altering her size to a giant and then to as small as a tick. But Peter is ultimately able to immobilize Cassie in a web cocoon in a strike of luck.
Hi, I'm Peter Parker.
Speed runs around the Hulk, throwing him across the battlefield with blows he can't even see coming. Hulk claps his hands, sending out a wave that destabilizes Tommy and is able to hold him down. Hawkeye shoots a set of arrows towards Shang-Chi, who effortlessly dodges them. He quickly approaches Kate and they engage in hand-to-hand combat. Wiccan goes after Doctor Strange, who's already finishing the preparations for the enchantment to lock Doom away. Strange tries to convince Billy not to attack him, reminding him how close he was to the teen's mother, Wanda. They discuss how her tragic fate could have been prevented and find some middle ground, yet ultimately disagree on the present issue regarding Doom. Wiccan attacks Strange and they battle using energy blasts and spells. Distracted by their internal war, the Avengers lose sight of the real threat. Doom has successfully stolen the power of the Molecule Man, which is part of his plan to cause a massive incursion and create a planet he can rule over as a god. The heroes are stopped amidst the climax of their battle by the disintegration of the fabric of reality all around them, and Doom's voice starts echoing through the air. He revels in having succeeded in his plans and admits to having used a magically enhanced wave transmitter that influences people to become more aggressive. The film ends on this ominous note, with Doctor Doom more powerful than ever, ready to build a battle world to rule over, shattering the current reality. The generations will have to join forces to make things right during the Secret Wars event, set in that new planet. Do you think a Civil War II event featuring a major conflict between the old and the Young Avengers in the MCU would be a fun MCU crossover? Should it happen before Secret Wars or come in a different way in the next saga? Let us know how you'd like it to happen in the comments below. Until next time, thanks for watching CBR.